what just immediately jumps out at me of Rosary Day 40 is that in today's church, this is my belief, in today's church, so many sheep are left without the shepherd of truth. And by that I mean, because Christians, including myself, and it's something I'm rigorously praying over and trying to just rid myself of the spirit of fear, the fear of speaking the truth. Because so many Christians are afraid of speaking the truth because we're afraid of what martyrdom this person might do to us. Because we're afraid of that, the lies of society like pride and like all the other types of lies, like abortion and abortion rights and pride, and even lately I've been hearing about assisted suicide, do you know what I'm saying, for the elderly, instead of palliative care. All these lies, people should have the right to choose, to choose to kill their child, or to choose to encourage their grandparents to kill themselves. That is where we are. And these things again are the only reason they're succeeding is because so many of us who know the truth are afraid to speak because we're afraid of the consequences that could happen to our own lives. And it's like essentially and that's just Pilate. Isn't that the same spirit that was in Pilate? He wanted to save his own skin. But I think this is what St. Paul would refer to himself as the greatest of all sinners. How? St. Paul, with all the work he did, how? But it's because at least in Pilate's defense, Pilate wasn't a Jew. He was completely ignorant of most of the laws of the Jews. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's like, therefore, he was mostly, yeah, he knew Jesus was an innocent man, but he didn't claim to be a Jew. He didn't really claim to be involved in the faith like that. Do you know what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is that at least he had less understanding. But that's why Jesus said to him, I believe that's why Jesus said to him, those who delivered me into your hands, their sin is greater. Because they had to harden their hearts more, knowing everything they knew about the scriptures, about the prophecies, everything. They saw the signs Jesus was doing, and they were more determined to keep their state than to obey God and be attentive to what God was doing through this person called Jesus. They'd rather just reject Jesus because they clung to their state more than they really clung to God, and that was made apparent when they killed God. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's essentially we kill the innocent Jesus of our time whenever we choose to let the sheep go unshepherded, to let the sheep be without the shepherd of truth, because we are pursuing our own self-interests. When we choose to let the sheep, and I mean that first now, let's say it's an LGBTQ person who she goes forward to receive communion every time, and the priest knows that she's a practicing lesbian, and he still gives her Holy Communion. He hasn't mentioned anything to her about, no warm, gentle counsel like, hey, that you shouldn't be coming forward to receive. No, basically protecting her from that condemnation she's bringing onto herself. Do you get what I'm saying? Instead, giving her the Eucharist, because he doesn't want her to. He doesn't want the possibility of her reporting it to the bishop that he denied her communion. And on what grounds? On the grounds that if she receives communion in the state of as a practicing lesbian, she is bringing more condemnation on herself. See, look, when we don't adhere to the truths of the faith, which is like we love each other, therefore we correct each other, we lovingly correct each other, or we lovingly do our best to prevent people from entering into a deeper situation of sin. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like now I don't know all the ins and outs of church doctrine. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But what would you say that the priest should do? Should he give her communion? Should he just, even if she comes for communion, should he just bless her? And then if she comes to ask about it, just tell her, hey, look, you know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Or I know, or just lovingly counsel. Do you hear what I'm saying? Because there's the place there's a place in St. Paul's letters where there's someone who's sleeping with their mom or something like that, some incestuous relationship he's into, or adultery or something like that. And St. Paul used quite strong wording that person should be excommunicated. That if you refuse to take correction, deliver him into the hands of Satan. That's what St. Paul says, right? And it's like if thing is, because if we don't do that, then don't you know a little leaven leavens the whole dough? If everyone else in the church community knows this person is a lesbian and they're practicing lesbian at that, and they are coming forward to receive communion, and the priest is giving them communion, what does that say? Do you know what I'm saying? It means that all the things about, okay, I know I'm in a state of mortal sin, but I know I'm in a state of sin, but I can't be as bad as that person. Do you know what I'm saying? The priest is giving her communion, so I guess it's not that big a deal. That can't really be the presence of Jesus. Come on. All those laws, they're just listening, they're just probably like guidelines. You don't have to obey all those things. What's the thing about confession before communion? A little bit of leaven leavens the whole dough. If we want to truly bear witness to the truth, we must live by it. We must act as it. Our actions should match the truth we believe, since that is God. And to receive God in the Eucharist in a state of mortal sin bring condemnation on us, to great condemnation. Moreover, if by giving it to one person we can end up corrupting the whole community or lessening the faith of the whole community, that's dangerous ground. And I think that the alternative, yes, is to risk being in trouble, in terms of like, okay, let's say if there's she's not a member of the sheep, in that she hears the word of God and she hears the truth, and she recognizes the truth because she's one of Jesus' sheep. She hears his voice and she follows him, he who is truth. If she's not amongst his sheep and she starts cause trouble, reporting it to the bishop, etc., is that not the martyrdom that becomes the seed of the church? Is it not by the action of the priest who stands on his ground? Do you get what I'm saying? That no, you cannot receive if you are. Do you know what I'm saying? In fact, I've been pushed for excommunication. Let me just give you an example. If a priest were to say that and believe, prayerfully considering that's the right course of action, what do you guys think? But yeah, that's what I think. I've strongly come to believe that. And I know that the martyrdom, the blood of the martyrs, is the seed of the church. So since I truly desire, or since I aim to truly desire with my full being for God's church to expand, for God's kingdom to expand, then I truly desire with all my being that my blood may be spilled out for the church. That is what it means. Because the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. You have to spill your blood. You have not literally spill your blood, but I mean literal red martyrdom. But I mean you have to be willing to pour yourself out, to empty yourself, to lose everything, in order to gain everything. He who loses his life for my sake, keeps it, right? But he who keeps his life loses it. And so that's what I think. That's what I immediately thought of when I was listening to it. It's been a meditation of mine. It's been in my head because as we approach this papal conclave that's now begun, as we were leading up to it, today's May 6th, as we were leading up to this papal conclave, the mass readings, Stephen, the first proto-martyr, Stephen, right? How he lost his life, and I have been visiting a church that's it's called it has the relic the bones of a martyr who died in like 275 AD, right in a church that I visit when I'm on my way to work on some days. And it's like, or rather when I'm on my way to a course, but it's not getting lost in the details. This, when I pray for this saint, and I talk to the saint, I ask him to please, like, I cannot do what you did right now, but I know I will be able to. So please, like, pray for me. Like, the three biggest lessons I've learned from him. His name is Saint Beningus. The three biggest lessons I've learned from him is, one, some things are worth dying for. Every man will die. Every one of us is going to die. Let your death mean something. It's better for you to die for something than to just die and then that's it, and you've lost everything anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like the I think about Saint Peter, because one thing really struck me about Saint Peter. So Saint Peter, the first apostle, he died at 70 or so, right? Like when they found his bones, Christ literally built his church on the rock of Pisa. You know what I'm saying? Because the St. Peter's Basilica is literally built on top of the catacomb in which St. Peter was buried, you know, the tomb. And so St. Peter's bones, when they studied them, they saw that, okay, these are like the bones of a 70-year-old who was hung upside down, who was crucified upside down, right? Don't ask me how. Okay, they do their science. Okay, you can Google it and find out the details. But anyway, but what I found so striking is he died at 70, and it's like around that age, people are dying anyway. People are dying of blood pressure or heart attack, or you know what I'm saying. Around that age, people are dying. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it's the truth. That's, you know. The likelihood of death starts to increase maybe after 60. I don't know. It's not a scientific fact I'm saying, but, you know, around 70 is when you start. That's when people usually say, okay, he lived a long life, that kind of thing, you know. So it's like Peter, especially for those days. In those days, people would die around 50, like 50, 40. So Peter did live a long life. And it's like, but he died for something, as opposed to him kind of like, you know, because he was actually on his way out of Rome, and then Jesus like met him on the way, because he was running away from this is in tradition. The history that's written in tradition, not in the Bible, but it's the beauty of being Catholic. So in the tradition, it's written that Peter actually was on his way out of Rome, trying to like run away from being crucified and being persecuted, like dying. And he had a vision of Jesus, and Jesus was walking in the other direction. And Peter was like, Lord, where are you going? I could just go there. They're killing Christians there, bro. And Jesus was like, don't mind me. I'm on my way to go and die again because you're running away. And that, you can imagine, that pierced Peter like to the heart. So Peter now went back to Rome and allowed himself to be crucified, right? And so it's like, yeah, and it isn't that so heartbreaking? I'm getting really emotional. My eyes are tearing up. But just hearing, just being that for a bit, and just that's it. It's like Peter. Yeah. So my point is, that was the first thing I've learned from Saint Beningus. Talk to Saint Beningus, talking through Saint Beningus to God, and you know, just praying the Rosary in Saint Beningus' presence, and just meditating around this holy relic, and yeah. And the second thing I've learned is that this world is passing away. In the Office of Readings, that especially this week, this second week of Easter, I've been observing a theme where it talks about in the Office of Readings that they're covering Revelations, and in Revelations we hear about basically the apocalypse. Okay, meteors falling from the sky, earthquakes, everything. Yeah, big, really gross bugs. Really gross, really dangerous, really painful stingers, bugs, locusts, right? It's all going to happen. It's all going to go down. Everyone's worst nightmare is going to go down in the apocalypse, right? The world is going to pass away. And it's like, man, the resurrection came and went. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, the resurrection happened. It's a fact. It's history. Even if we humans try and deny facts. At some point, I feel like some humans will even try and deny 2 + 2 = 4 at one point. Yes, I feel like some people will actually try and fight that battle the way people are fighting truth these days. It's okay. Moving on. So Jesus did rise from the dead. And then he appeared to more than 1,000 people at one time. You know what I'm saying? So we modern day Christians have had personal encounters with our risen Lord. Just ask us. So Jesus did rise from the dead. He is present in his church, especially in the form of the Eucharist. And he is present everywhere. Because he is God. But let me not digress. My point is, what was my point? So the apocalypse will come. Just like how recently the archaeologists have found Sodom and Gomorrah. So that did happen, right? And it's going to happen again. Not Sodom and Gomorrah kind of thing, but it's going to be like the apocalypse. Like, maybe not in the exact same, like, soul falling from the sky, but it's going to be in the apocalypse. And it's like, and what comes to my mind immediately is, I have kept my silence, but now I keep silence no longer. I am like a woman in labor, panting and gasping, And I'm just like, because I think about all the evil that has been happening in the world. And God has indeed kept his silence. But at that time of the apocalypse, God will no longer keep his silence, but he will be like a woman panting and gasping. Can you just imagine the wrath of God? You who, a saint said this, you who are afraid of the wrath of a man, how much more should you fear the wrath of God? Whom that man, he's made in God's image. His wrath is nothing compared to the Creator's. And I'm just like, I don't want to, thank God, there's a passage in Jeremiah that has always stuck with me, where God protects his people like how a lion protects their cubs. I want to be among the cubs. I don't want to be on the other side of the lion. I want to be behind him. That's my resolution. And so when the earth is shaking and the meteors are falling, I will die a happy death, because my treasure is in heaven. My treasure is not passing away. It's where moths can't reach it. That is the goal, and God willing, I will attain it. Mother Mary, who is my mother and my patron, is she my patron saint? I'm consecrated to Jesus through her, and I was consecrated to Jesus through Papa Joseph. Okay, so would recommend for you. I think, because basically, I'm tied up to Our Lady of Victory and Jesus' Papa, his Abba on earth, So it's like I got 2 good saints to guarantee my success. My success is linked with their track record of success. If you have a good teacher who has a track record of 100%, then you're going to have 100%, right? That's just how I see it. I don't really trust in myself. I trust in God, and I trust in the mentors he's assigned me. Right? So I would recommend that, by the way, just quick segue. So my point is, the earth is going to pass away, and none of this stuff is going to matter. But what you did on this earth is going to matter. And that's for me. I'm gonna do my best. My hope is in the Lord, inshallah. We gonna be all right. Because I want to make sure all the treasure I actually care about is in heaven. Your heart is where your treasure is, so my treasure must be in heaven. You get what I'm saying? So that's the second rule of the martyr that Saint Beningus has inspired, maybe prayed for me in inspiration, whatever. I don't know the wording, whatever. Okay, the third thing, I've actually forgotten. This voice note got too long and I've forgotten. But anyway, yeah, I guess that's enough for today. Thanks for this. I'm sorry, you guys would be like, what? There were 3. I'm sorry, man. I can't remember the third. First one was that. Second one was that. The third one. that what I said at the beginning, the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. And essentially, if we really love God, Simon, do you love me? Yes, Lord, you know I love you. Tend my sheep, feed my lambs. Tend my sheep, feed my lambs. And we cannot be those shepherds who run away when the wolves come. We must be like the shepherd who is willing to lay down his life for the sheep. And that means if we truly wish to reign with him, we must die with him. We must tend his sheep. And those sheep are those people who are left without knowledge of the truth because we cower away from speaking. If we truly desire for God's kingdom to be expanded on earth, we must desire to be martyrs. That's just it. We actually have to wish to be able and willing to die the deaths that God calls us to die daily. That's another thing St. Benedict taught me. As you die every day, like being a martyr doesn't just happen all at once. You don't just wake up one day and like, all right, I'm ready. And when the rumors come in, you're just like, okay, let's go. I'm ready to die. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't just happen in 1 minute. It happens like, it's like you train yourself. The white martyrdoms are like training. You die a little bit every day, and as those deaths accumulate, you die more and more. You're carrying yourself the death of Christ, so that Christ may live in you. And so it's Christ at the end of the day who lives more in you now, because you have died a death to yourself several times, such that you have decreased and Christ has increased, and it's him who dies again in you. You know what I'm saying? No one dies again, but him who dies in you. And therefore, that's why your death as a martyr is linked to his crucifixion, is linked to his passion and death, because it's ultimately him sharing a little bit of his cross with you, and you accepting it, and then dying. What comes to mind is dying in his place, but I don't mean it like, I'm trying to say that it's like dying the modern crucifixion, dying the modern death that the world would assign to Jesus, you know? Does that make sense? Is that liturgically correct? You guys let me know. Alright, I've talked enough. Those are my thoughts for Rosary Day 40. And I'm going to see you in the next one.